I am finally here. Things I've gone through so far. Not been fun. Hello. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki Jacobs. Psychic medium, ET abductee, energy worker, forced participant in SSP, which is Secret Space Program, witness to mining on other planets by humans. Yeah, fun. Okay, hang on one second. Since I'm so late, I don't know if anybody's going to be showing up, and apparently I don't have my lights set up right, along with everything else that was going on. Okay, but I'm finally here. There were so many things I was planning on talking about. Excuse me, but things came up. I'm gonna see if I can. No, I didn't. I thought I had stuff prepared, but apparently I don't. Let me know if you can hear me. Kind of a big deal. I'm gonna see if I can find different sections. So, like I said, a lot has gone on. Had some near passing out again. So I had some medical stuff. And then I've had tech stuff. So, hence I'm very late. Anyhow, I actually am live. Finally. Whether you can actually see or hear until afterwards, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm finally up and going. Sorry, I'm looking for some pictures I did, and I was hoping to be able to show you, because I do not know how to share my screen and have that set up. I have had Mary Magdalene came to me this week and told me, "Hey, hello, Fritz. How you doing?" Okay. Once again, I'm having problems with the lights because I need the light for my visual. Choco Taco. Hi, how you doing? Try to say hello to everybody who comes in. Anyway, so Mary Magdalene showed up and she was like, essentially, we on the other side. Oh, and I had Michael Jackson show up months ago. I forgot about that in November. Anyway, so sorry, I'm looking through my notes, and I'm not finding what I'm looking for, which really sucks. Anyway, so she was like, we on the other side really want to, oh, hey, Drew, we on the other side really want to, let you know we're concerned. We want you sleeping and making sure that you get enough sleep, because you've got a lot that's going to be taking place. And I was like, yes, ma'am. So, and the interesting thing is that I remember her. This is going to be an interesting and a weird kind of conversation, because this is Easter weekend. The earphone. There we go. So I'm not yelling. Anyhow, keep going with your videos. Thank you, Vernon. I appreciate that. And hello. So some time ago I talked about that in that past lifetime, I remember Jesus. I remember him on the my voice is cracked. Oh, thank you, cool cat. I totally freaking forgot I was plugged in. That's why I was crackling. Now, let me know. Is it better? Is it better? No more crackling, please tell me. Stepmeister. I haven't heard that in a lot. I haven't heard somebody call it. Hello, how you doing? Hey. So is the sound better? No more crackling, no more icky crap. Anyway. So, much better. Okay, thank you, Cool Cat. I really appreciate that. It's a damn electrical freaking cord. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. I deeply apologize. So, I remember, God, what is it now? 106, I think it is. 105, 106 lifetimes. Past lifetimes that I remember. And one of them was during Jesus's time. Now this is interesting because, hello, we're dealing with, some people call it Resurrection Weekend. Some people, the public calls it Easter. And this is during the time that we celebrate. Well, I remember Jesus from that lifetime, and I remember who I was. I'm not public. I have not told a single person. Nobody knows who I was. And I might end up crying. Hang on a minute. I just realized I don't want to start blubbering because of memories and all of that. So let's get the Kleenex, whatever, out. Anyway, way better. And now I can hear you clear. I'm out. Okay, hey, AW, hi. What I hear about my science meal? Meal, sunglasses, and Genie. He said that they to the moon because China said they will build a military base on the moon. You know what? Let's get into that. Cool Cat, please stay on because I'm going to need a reminder of that later. I wanted to actually talk about that. But that's for later. So right now, so in that lifetime, I remember Jesus. And I remember him walking through, well, it was technically through town, but it was also, there was a section where it was the outskirts of town before it went to the, lack of a better word, hill. It's a small hill, but it's still a hill. Well, anyway, kind of interested to see if it still looks like that. I doubt if it would. Anyway, so I doubt it's going to look like that now, especially with all the crap going on in the world. Anyway, so I remember he changed my life in that lifetime. This for Bunker. Hi guys. Hi, how you doing? Happy Easter, guys and gals. How you doing? So yeah, I really Nazareth or where he was walked through. So Drew's asking Nazareth or Bethlehem. I don't remember the town, to be quite honest. I should know this because, hello, Christian. But I literally, at this second, because I'm trying to retain all the memories to describe this, I literally do not flip and remember. But I remember meeting him with a large crowd, and I was a male at that time. Not well liked, and somewhat of an official. And I had orders from government, as shall we say. Oh, Megan. Well, I know who's in the chat for the S4. Anyway, so I ended up meeting with him and a couple of his disciples at the time. And I don't remember, I remember there was a meeting, and I remember there was some kind of a bit of an argument, and he wouldn't argue. He was not one to argue at all. And I gave him the information regarding government stuff, and he ended up essentially baptizing me in that lifetime. And I, in that lifetime, became a secreted, closeted follower. To the point to where when I found out that they were going to crucify him, I went to the government and stood in front. I remember standing in front of, I'm not saying that now, I was just about to say the name, in front of the main person. Hey, you drove through Vegas hours. Cool, Drew. I know where that's at. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, and I need to not be sidetracked. The individual that was standing in front of me regarding government was vicious and wicked and all kinds of forms of evil. And I didn't know it or realize it until I had met Jesus, who literally, quite literally changed my life. And changed my form of religion, to be quite honest. When I met Jesus, it wasn't the first time that I felt the energy from him. The second time I met with him was when everything happened for me, and that was when everything changed. And it was, if I remember correctly, it was like just at dusk, and by the time we got to water, it was dark, and I essentially was baptized in the dark by him. It's just mind-boggling because I've never talked about that aspect of it. Hey, Amy, thank you for being here, Amy and Drew, and the S4 bunker. And so after that, when all crap was breaking loose for him, I stood in front of the head official, shall we say, of government, and verbally fought for him. And no matter, as I did, they were bringing in a platter with a silver, kind of like I don't know what to call it, but like a silver dome, and they showed him something, and I kind of, almost lost my lunch, let's put it that way. I will not describe what I saw, ever. I don't even think I'll put that in the book, but that I've been working on the book. And from that moment on, I had to be dismissed. I was dismissed. Horrible things were said to me as I was leaving. And it was very, very shortly thereafter. I don't remember the time frame, the amount of minutes or hours, but very shortly after that, all heck broke loose. And And then he was walking through the streets. There were a lot of people witnessing it. I can't say the street was fully crowded, but it did have a crowd. There were people that hated him, vehemently hated him, spit on him. Some even hit him. And others crying and wailing. Yeah, that would be a good way to describe it. Great question, Stiffmeister. I'll get into that in a minute. And when he went up onto the hill, or mound, or whatever the heck you want to call it, I was one of the very few that stood and watched him and prayed. And they drew it out. They drew it out in every way possible. The length of the pain, the amount of time, all of it. It went from that to things I've only described once publicly, and I'm not describing it twice. I take it back. I talked about it twice. I'm not talking about it again. And I was the one who got items illegally, I suppose you would say, because I don't remember exactly how. I just remember carrying wrapped items that were wrapped in cloth and kind of I don't know how to describe it, kind of like tied, not tied but tied. I don't know how else to describe that at the top, so it created a bundle, and I carried it to certain individuals, and I'm not talking about the rest of it because that's really treasured memories. So the reason I'm talking about this is not only because of this weekend, but also because I had a bit of a meltdown this morning. When I heard there's a Facebook, and yeah, I'm calling you out in a good way. There's a Facebook, I don't know who runs it, channel. There's a Facebook channel. I think it's called Lady in Red, and she or whoever did a like 3 or 4 beautiful renditions with music for Easter weekend, the Easter holiday. And there's one scene that was depicted, and I kind of lost it, and it brought up all of this and then some, and a few more memories that I didn't remember before. And of course, then I was crying full force. And who shows up? I had my moment. Here we go. Sorry, I had my moment. I don't give 2 craps if you don't believe me. I really don't. This is my memories. This is what I've experienced. That's what I witnessed. I don't care anymore. Believe or don't, I don't care. I'm telling you what I remember. And I totally expect that. And he showed up, touched my knees, bent down, and he said, "You can do this, and you can." I'm not going to say what. There are things that were coming and things that were going to be taking place, and he said, "You can do this." And I was so stunned. I was absolutely so stunned. Because the only other time I'd ever seen him in this lifetime was when he came and got me and took me to say goodbye to a deceased friend of mine. And utterly stunned. Absolutely, utterly stunned. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for being here. I know this is a subject a lot of people are not going to believe, they're not going to like, they're going to whatever they're going to do because of whatever their beliefs are. I get that. I understand that. If I had heard this even 15 years ago, I would have been saying probably a lot of the same things that I've read. No, hang on. Gotta blow the nuts. Hate that. Hang on one second. I'm gonna hit mute. Okay, sorry about that, guys. But at least it's up camera and you don't have to hear it. So I mean, I get it. I totally, I get it. I've kind of been having a hard time with believing different things, and when you start having flashback memories, because you know what flashback memories are, and how they affect you and how they come up for you and blah blah blah. It's a shock, and I get it. So anyway, I remember him, and I was so stunned that he came, bent down, put a hand on each one of my knees. Like I've got 3, good grief, that came out wrong, but you get the idea. And he looked up at me. Yeah, I will always remember that and treasure it. I was so humbled again. This has been a heck of a humbling experience, being not only an ET abductee, remembering past lifetimes, and being a forced participant in SSP and all of those wild memories. I mean, just absolutely stunning. Hey, Robert, thank you for showing up. So all of those really take effect on a person, and it is extremely humbling as a psychic medium to have Jesus come and talk to you, or to have Mary Magdalene come and, oh, for Pete's sake, I thought I got it. Come in and talk to you and tell you everything's going to be all right, but please get more sleep. And of course, with the microwave technology, Paramar's in here? I miss Paramar. Hello, Paramar. Thank you for being able to show. I appreciate that. 1717 on the numbers right now, for anyone that means something. Anyway, it's just quite a mind bender to me to remember that, to recognize it, to understand all the meanings and implications with it. The other thing that hit me when I saw that video from the Facebook account that's called Lady in Red. It reminded me of a conversation where I was told by a guide, and then it was confirmed by an ET guide. That yeah, he's coming back, and I went, when? I literally screamed it. It was the middle of the night, and I literally screamed it, and then I went, you know, because I covered my mouth because I literally was so shocked. And of course, I got told soon, and then I'm like, oh yeah, your idea of soon is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years from now. Your idea of soon is different than humanity's idea of soon. And I'm like, oh, for Pete's sake. So then I got very annoyed and very angry. So all of that got brought up with all of this memory stuff, and I'm like, wow. And the other thing that I got told, it's going to come as a real shock and surprise, because he will not look anything like what's depicted. And I went, what do you mean? And they're like different, same soul, different body. That's what I was going to say earlier that I didn't. The second time I met him in that lifetime, he was pure energy in physical embodiment, in a physical human form. And I do mean pure energy, the likes I've never, ever come across before, except, I take that back, except for when I was crossing over spirits and God himself showed up with the great big white light and the energy that was all full of. That's the only time I've ever felt that energy. But in a physical, living human being, no, I've never felt that from anybody other than him. So that's what I want to say about all of that information. And now we're going to move on. Interstellar Park Ranger. Hello, Interstellar. Park Ranger for Interstellar. That would be quite the job, folks. Truly, that would be quite the job. Anyway, Christine Watson, 8550, who says, to me, you are full of shit. Wow. That doesn't surprise me if people don't believe. I don't care anymore. Like I said. No, I've not seen. Little Dragon is asking, did you watch the movie Project Hail Mary? No, I have not. Okay, so Little Dragon, in answer to your question, in youth, birthdays feel happy. In adulthood, they feel sad. Do you agree? No. Because my birthdays, and my birthday happened on the 28th of February. Ever since I've been 19, I was going to say 18, but that's not right. 19 years old, I do a special, I take the day off, and 20 minutes before the time that I was born, I go into a meditation state, and a very deep form of meditation, and I connect with, and I try to always be outside when I do this, grounded and centered. And this deep meditation state, I connect with the plants, the animals that are in the area, the trees that are in the area. There was one year that I was so connected that it was winter time, and was living in a house at the time with a very long 12-foot 14 foot, whatever, porch, about a 10-foot wide, 12 feet long or thereabouts front porch. And I was sitting out on the porch completely bundled up because it was really windy, really rainy. And we were on an inclined hill in Seattle, and where I was living. And I got so deeply into meditation that I literally connected with the trees across the street. It blew my mind. And I asked them, I opened my eyes and I asked them, can you stop moving in the wind? And the wind was really, really strong. And these suckers were moving like crazy. They all stopped. It's kind of like one of those, what just happened? Holy. And I started coming out of the meditation. I literally said, because I could feel it, I was feeling myself coming out of it. I literally said, thank you, please release, please do what you naturally normally do. And they went back. And I was just like, and it was just solid wind at the time that I asked them to stop. I don't talk about that one very often. But when you get into a meditation and you connect like that, yeah, that can happen. It nearly happened when I was 19, and I was over at Green Lake. I had done, that lake is, I think it's 1.6 miles or 2.6. I can't remember if you walk all the way around it once. Anyway, I was on my third way around, and I was more than halfway around that time, and I literally stopped about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes before the time of my birth, on my birthday. And there was a breeze. I'd put down, I had gotten myself I can't remember where the hell I got myself a sandwich from. Oh, there was an Albertsons, that's right. I'd gotten myself a sandwich from the Albertsons and was carrying it in a bag. So I took this sandwich out, and the grass was damp. It was a clear, beautiful day, but it was brisk. It was rather on the cold side, and at that point I was really hot and sweaty because I love walking, and these short legs, I was a fast walker back then. Now that's a different story. I'm a little pet. That's because of the back and the way the body is, and the age. Well, no, not the age, but how the body is. And so I had connected with there were reeds in the area that I was sitting, and bushes that were about 3.5 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall. And I had connected, but I didn't understand what I was connecting to. And I had opened my eyes, and I was looking out at the lake. I was probably 3 feet from the lake, if that, 2.5, 3 feet from the lake, at water's edge, I should say. And put the bag down, sat down on the bag, got this type of connection, because I didn't want my butt and back of my legs wet. And did this connection and ended up opening my eyes, and I saw the breeze. It was not a wind type of wind, but a breeze just going like this in the reeds and the tall grass and bush type of area that I was kind of sitting between. Well, I was sitting back, but between this open section. And I remember thinking, wow, I wonder if the plants would stop moving. And all of a sudden they slowed almost to a stop. And I went, oh, and as soon as I went, oh, and it just started going again. And I went, what just happened? And I started thinking about how is that even remotely possible? I was 19 years old, and here I am 58, and I mean, a lot of years ago, and I look back on that and I remember just being riveted by how it all came about. So yeah, we have abilities that we can use if we are able to connect to them. Just be aware of that. When I talk about energy work, that's really the kind of stuff I'm talking about. There's a heck of a lot more regarding energy work, but that's along the lines of what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, so um okay, I'm having problems with the light again. There we go. J-Ball, the best thing in the world is love. Yeah, there's more than that. The best thing about eyes is your eyes. Well, thank you for that. Okay, so Stiffmeister earlier had asked, what's the craziest life you have lived? I don't know. There's 3 of them that are just really one in the mid to late 1800s with a brother. The lifetime after that, I was royalty, and then the lifetime after that, I was in World War II. And I gotta say, craziest. This is the one where I'm breaking all the boundaries, all the past lifetimes. I'm breaking them wide open. I'm talking about them. I'm remembering them. I've done what's called a lot of shadow work, a lot of going through a lot of deep crap from past lifetimes, busting it open, working on it. Not easy. Highly recommended, because if you're capable of doing that, it opens doors for you in your current lifetime, and it really makes a difference. And that's part of why I am how I am now, is because I've broken so many past lifetime bullcrap things. So those are the 1800s and the lifetime in the late 1800s into the early 1900s. Those were 2 of my favorite lifetimes. The crazy one was World War II. Living in World War II time. I don't know. Another one is being an ET and getting stuck on Earth, and remembering the what the hell are the pyramid? They're not pyramids. The pillars in England. God, I can't think of the name of it. Stonehenge. Stonehenge was originally, and this was before. No, I'm not going to say that. So Stonehenge, before it was moved to its now location, was part of and I did not remember this until our Keith Andrews said something about his lifetime, and it opened up my lifetime in as an ET. And Stonehenge was originally used as a how do you call it? An ET retrieval center. I guess is what I would call it. It's literally where the ships would come down, people would stand in the center, the ETs would take the other ETs on board ship, and you'd go. It was like a way station, a waypoint. If you could get to that, you knew that you could be evacuated off the planet. And of course, then they moved it. But there were where they moved it from. If they had ever done any digging below it, they would have found a cave system or a corridor system. And I remember that there's a corridor system underneath, really far underneath. Because when the ships would hover, back in that time frame, they had a specific engine type drive that vibrated the earth. And you could feel that underground. And so the caves, it's not a cave system, they're corridors, or at least they were. They could be partially demolished by now. But anyway, they eventually went to the surface. And the corridor system, the farther down you went, you stopped feeling the vibrations from the ET ships. There were some ET, and it was a location to where you hid because there was a war on another planet, not far from Earth, and so it was so you weren't unalived from the other ET species and races of ET. You went really deep underground. Now, the interesting thing that I do remember is that there's some part of that system that goes to inner Earth. So that's something to think about. Find the original location and then see if you can find the doorway. I don't remember. Oh, it's by a tree. I was just going to say I don't remember the doorway. It was. I don't know. No idea. This is a lot of years before humans were on. I mean, there were forms of humans on Earth at the time, but not really. Food sources that bad ETs would use all kinds of food sources, human included. Well, at least back then, anyway. So, yeah, there's a memory there. That was kind of a real wild one. Another real wild one is being an ET and being in hand-to-hand combat against. I remember the Orion Wars. I have vague. Okay, I need to be careful how I say that. I have vague. No, vague isn't the right word either. How do I say that? I have small memories of it, but I do remember bits and pieces of the Orion Wars. I don't talk about that because I don't have enough, what I would classify as enough memory to put it all together and describe everything that took place. So there's your answer to that one. Okay, so somebody else had asked, okay, Amy says, were you carrying? Okay, I don't know who you were talking about. Or to that. Cable Dog says, book? Yeah, I've been working on a book for a number of years, writing about stuff. Oh, there's Paranormal. Okay, hi. Okay, yeah. Yes, correct. Drew, pilot. There was something. This is it. Cool Cat 3032 says, what I hear about my science, Neil Sunglass and Junior. I don't know who that is. Unless you mean there's a science person I do not know. Yeah, his first name is yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not enthusiastic about him because he discounts absolutely every freaking thing regarding ETs, and he's a little bit changed his tune since then, but I don't know, I've always looked at him as arrogant, the way he comes across, and a bunch of other things. I have choice thoughts about that, but anyway, I don't focus on it. Anyway, said that we are really going to the moon because China said they will build a military base on the moon. Okay, I'm going to tell there are numerous. This is what I wanted to get back to. There are, and I'm going to go right back into further other things. And why? Okay, Para, I'll get back to that question in a couple of minutes. Regarding the who built the tunnels and corridors, ETs did. I do know that, but I'm trying to remember who. I used to remember who, but because of the targeting, I don't remember that. I remember, but I can't put it. I cannot put their species into a verbal word, and that's because of the targeting. So there's that aspect of everything. Anyway, all right. So regarding NASA, I made a comment, a very bold statement, even for me, about why I was laughing. We did the S4 Paranormal Bunker did a show on Wednesday, and it was brought up about NASA and the current, oh crap, I can't think of the name of the, it's not ISIS, it's Artis, I can't think of the correct name. Anyway, going to go around the moon and take pictures and blah, blah, blah. And I started laughing on the show, and which is probably not the best thing to do. So I do apologize for that, but I do not apologize for my belief because of my experiences, and this is why I thought it was laughable, because we are already on the moon. We're already there. There's already an ET moon base that we use. We come, Artemis, thank you, Drew. You remember that? Yeah, that episode. Yeah, that was just this past, just a few days ago. So to me, it's extremely humorous and funny that they are, and it's not funny in the grand scheme of things, especially with how I'm going to say this, that they are pulling their bullshit narrative yet again regarding any narrative going to the moon. We're already there. We're already doing things. We already have meetings. I can describe different sections of corridors of different sections of, I keep using that word, I don't know what else to call it. That one corridor leads to another opening with a spiral section. And the spiral section doesn't go down, it's literally floor after floor after floor after floor of different things. So it's done in circle shapes. And then there's a section, if you go through one corridor and you hang a right or a left, depending upon where you want to go, if you hang a right, it goes back to the core of the moon base. I was going to say the moon because I don't think of it as a moon anymore. Not after what I started remembering. Now, freaked me out when I started remembering it. Oh, hey, Kathy Doherty, that's a great question. Let me get to it in just a moment. So, yeah, it gets really convoluted when you've got global governments, because it's not just the it's not just the United States. Oh, good grief. Sorry. It's not just the United States government that is involved in a space program. There are vast numbers of countries involved. They're all in on it. All of the countries that have that ability they're all in on it. So they all know. And it's a forced narrative upon the public and upon the en masse is how I worded it in a when I was typing up something to respond to a post that somebody else had made in some group. And so it's their narrative. They're holding on for dear life to that narrative. And they've got trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars invested. They are not going to give this information up anytime soon. So Kathy Doherty asked, do ETs contact the astronauts? To my knowledge, I know that a couple of them, from what I've been told from the other side, that's where this information comes from, that a couple of them have witnessed certain ETs. Now, contact, I don't believe so. I could be wrong on that, but based on what I was told by the other side and my guides is what what I mean by that. Hang on. Oh, I don't want to take one of those right now. I'm gonna take something that's gonna. Nope. I want Mullen. Where is my Mullen? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's over here. Sorry, I've got excess stuff and it's hitting my eustachian tube in a nasty way, and it's becoming quite painful. So, okay, where we have it. Sorry, hang on. Got to hit mute a moment. Okay, found my Mullen. Unfortunately, I don't have my fennel right now. Otherwise, I would take that, because in my personal experience, fennel is a natural mucus dissolver. Anyway, I don't like doing this on a video, but I'm going to have to. Sorry, folks. Hang on. Oh, I thought I hit mute. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, hey, Roo Riders. Oh, how's the wife and kid? Tell wife I said hello. It was awesome last evening. Some random person uploaded the new. Oh, nice. Was it any good? Woo Riders, was it any good? Artemis, yes. Well, Woo Riders, you know where I'm going to go with that. He is saying aliens are not real. It's a false deception of demons. Not true. And I loved it because Joe sent me Mr. Monk sent me a comedy thing about demons, and I about laughed my ass off. Had me laughing. Master pilot. Maybe they link up. Yeah. Oh, that was it. Paramount. That's why I was scrolling back. I knew I was scrolling back for a reason. Any idea who built those tunnels, corridors, and why? Yeah, it was during the before. It was either just before or at the start of, at least how I remember it, of the Orion Wars. 3 or 4 ET races, not species, races, because they were, I think, hybrids, if I remember correctly. Groups came together and dug and built, and their corridors, they're actual like brick and mortar. That's what it reminds me of. That's not what it is, but it reminds me of like brick and mortar tunnels. Not wood, not, so that's why I say they should still be there. The moving of the stone pillars, just, when I realized, I was like, oh God, I've always wanted to go there. You know, I grew up thinking that, and then I started having weird flashbacks, and I didn't understand it because I had remembered something underground beneath them. And then when R. Keith Andrews had talked about his memory, it triggered almost all of mine. And I went, holy crap. And that was when the tunnel system, the corridor system, started coming back up, and I started remembering. And there are large pockets. Good grief, Nikki. Large pockets. I don't know what else to call. They're like a room. That's not a room, and these areas were tall. They're like these pocket rooms, large pocket rooms. They're like 12, maybe 15 feet in height. I mean, these are huge. They're very, very tall, and numerous amounts of them, but the area itself, well, human walking through, it's going to seem huge. But an ET that's, say, 9-10 foot tall and big and bulky is not going to think that it's huge. So that's why I remember it as small. But a human's going to look at it and go, oh my God, this place is huge. I'm remembering pillars, some kind of pillars that are holding up like the ceiling. And then it goes off into another like tunnel system or corridor system. Depending upon the size of the ET, you could only fit either one or maybe two side-by-side walking. But like I said, it depends on the size of the ET. So yeah, there's your answer. Why it had to do with forms of protection, protecting as many as possible. I'm having a memory of that tree again. So I'm supposed to talk about that. The tree. Oh God, it resembles a very ancient oak tree. That's what it looks like from, oh God, about 30, 40 feet away. You get up closer and the wood looks different. I don't know how to describe that, but it doesn't look, from up close, it doesn't look like an oak tree. But from a distance, it looked like this great, big, gigantic oak tree. And I remember that some of the roots of that oak tree could be seen because they didn't make some sections of the ceiling smooth. The mostly the corridor system, it was completely smooth. Well, not 100%. I mean, you got, but the idea. It reminded me of stone, is what it reminded me of, or reminds me now of. But anyway, so there's your answer. Drew says there's also something underneath the Sphinx in Egypt. Yes, there is. Oh, Cheryl, that's a great question. Are the astronauts on Artemis going to see any structures on the moon? Oh, most likely, depending upon where they're allowed, which sections of the dark side of the moon. So, depending upon where they are. So, yeah, possibly. But it's really going to depend upon a number of factors. So, okay. Okay. I don't know about the Bob Luke. About Bob Lazar. He was friends with Lear. With the Lear dude who. Okay. You've done. Okay. I can't read that because of the light. There we go. Erebus beyond the black wall. I've done Greer's CE5 protocol. It involves deep meditation, astrally projecting your location, then sort of sending it up and out. Okay. It's like you're feeling your location. Yeah. If aliens exist, they're us from the future coming back to witness what they were like before nuclear Armageddon erased their history. No. I firmly disagree with that. Erebus beyond the black wall says they are humans from 20 million years in the future. Nope. Paramarv, one popular theory is that the ancient druids put up Stonehenge for ceremonies, rituals, and they built it there because of the ley lines. Would the aliens have wanted to put them on ley lines? Yeah. Actually, ETs have created sorry, I'm getting very unusual pain in my back right now. How many ETs have you met? Oh my God. A lot. I used to say about 20, and now because of my SSP memories, it's a hell of a lot more than that. Way, way, way more than that. Especially being on Mars. Oh my God, Mars is filled with all kinds of what we would call extraterrestrials, all kinds of beings, all different species, all different races, hybrids. There's cities, there's educational systems there's different, I was going to say star-based systems. That's not what I mean. There's different, the hell are they called? I want to call them spaceports. That's not, there's a real specific defense military port there with the ETs. The humans have their own military force on Mars, on the Mars base. There's think of Star Wars and the bar, you know, in 1970, whenever the original first one came out, and the bar scene. Well, there's bars on Mars. Um, certain bases have certain military bases have bars too. So there's that kind of thing. There's stores. There's a U.S. military commissary on Mars. Where the hell did you think I was getting the little Hershey's Kisses? Putting the Hershey Kisses, the Hershey little mini chocolate bars that were wrapped in foil and paper and now are done in plastic, and putting those in my ditty bag for when one of my passengers they couldn't handle what they were going through, and I'd pop out one of these little mini Hershey's and hand it over to them or tell somebody to pass it back. And if they were harnessed in, so hello, they don't go flying if we hit a bump on entry. And it's the chocolate is a piece of home. I mean, it cracks me up when I start thinking about how in the Harry Potter series, that's what they used to. J.K. Rowling did a great thing with that, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I didn't put it together until not too long ago. I was like, "Oh my god, that's you always carry chocolate because it's a reminder of home." For a human, you're off on a different planet. You're in an incredibly different environment, and you're trying to survive, and you're witnessing things that you can't even wrap your head around, and let alone at times having to fight for your life. And because of some situation your government has put you into, and you're a form of military. Xavier, answer to your question, yes. There's so many different realms in the ethereal that it can make your head spin. Xavier is asking, are there infinite gods? Yeah. There's one main person, and all of the other ones are essentially underneath him, her, hat. To me, it's a him. I don't know how, Xavier, I don't know how to answer the God and universe question that you have there. I don't have an answer for that. I remember what I can say about that is, 24 on the numbers. Thank you, folks. I appreciate that. What I do remember is, I remember, oh my God, I was just about to call it the Well of Life. WELL, the Well of Life. What I remember is like a giant, iridescent, whitish, bluish, iridescent lake of souls. And that's what I remember. And the souls, it's long before you're ever incarnated, long before heaven, it's the original lake of souls, is what I've always thought of it as. I'm stunned to even call it the Well of Souls. I'm just like, wow, okay, so I don't know where the heck that came from. So I remember that. I remember and that's before there were planets. I remember different councils. I remember Council of 3. I remember the Council of 6, Council of 9, Council of 12. Who? That's one you don't F with. Council of 3 you don't mess with either, because they're like the originals. Ooh, you want to talk woo stuff. Woo, right there is it, baby. And then I remember being a hierarchy. I don't know who I was, but I remember being a hierarchy. I remember having power, the likes that we can't even conceive of. I have no idea who I was, but I remember being a hierarchy. And I questioned that up one side and down the other, and my guide said, Nikki, you're right. And then when I was living at the other apartment, and because I was on a, sorry, my eye itchy, apologize. I was on a team at the time, and one of the members of the team demanded that every hierarchy show up in my apartment, and it was a demand. And they demanded it, and I verbalized it, and I kid you not, that's in that fraction of a second after I demanded it, my apartment was standing room only. It was beyond the walls, beyond the ceilings. And oh, thank you, Cynthia. I think you are too. How's that for some fun? So wow. If you don't like being here, Cynthia, then why the hell are you here? Why are you in my chat? Why are you even bothering? You're just being a troll. That's all you're doing. Adios to trolls. See you later, dear. Hopefully never again. Not in my chat anytime soon. So, anyway, people are interesting. If they don't believe, they feel like they absolutely call you delusional or whatever else they're feeling. And it's like, okay, you don't believe, just scroll on. That's what the fingers are for. Cross your screen if you're on your phone. Or if you're on some other device, use your mouse and go, bye-bye. You don't have to say anything. Don't believe it? Don't believe it. So what? Like I said, I no longer give two shits. But I think it's interesting and sad that those people who don't believe have to absolutely voice everything. And it's like, why are you putting the energy into it? Because you want your voice heard? Because you've got to be a bitch, or you got to be a bastard, or you got to be a troll? Ugh. Why bother with that kind of energy? I don't put that kind of energy in my life anymore. Matter of fact, when people are like that with me, I either do what I just did or I ignore them. And right now I'm choosing not to ignore because other people are doing the same kind of crap. And this is why I've got really wonderful moderators who come in and who are able to deal with this kind of stuff. So thank you, Paramarv and Amy and Joe and Robert and Drew and all my other mods that I can't think of at this very second, which I apologize, but I do thank you very much. So when all these hierarchies showed up, there was a heck of a conversation going on. And not only within the team, but amongst the hierarchies themselves. And I literally, because I was hearing so much of the languages and the different languages, and I was recognizing them, and I went, I was getting, psychically, I was getting extremely overloaded. And I went, okay, I literally need all the hierarchies not to say anything right now. I'm so sorry. But I literally, I love your energy. Thank you for showing up. I never anticipated any of you showing up, or I think that's how I worded it. And I went on and we dealt with the situation at hand. The hierarchies, the specific hierarchies showed up. The ones that needed to stay, stayed. And the other ones started leaving. And as soon as they started leaving, they were opening, when they were leaving, they were opening portals inside my home. And it was the loudest. Okay, so I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it on camera because I got to put my finger in my mouth and I don't want that on camera. So it was the loudest popping sound and pressure in my ears, both of my ears, mostly my right ear. And I thought my eardrum, well, both of them, but mostly my right one, I thought my eardrum was going to rupture. It was that loud, that strong, and that painful. And I kid you not, there were at least over 1,000 hierarchies. And I'm guessing on that because when I say wall to wall, they weren't just standing side by side. They were overlapping each other. And my entire apartment, which was 900 and, God, many square footage. God, it was like 980 square feet or something like that, 960. Excuse me. And I could feel them. How do I say this? I could feel that when they entered and there were so many there, they shrunk themselves down. Instead of being their regular form, they literally shrunk their what would have been their physical self down into a smaller, so that everybody could fit and so that everybody could hear. And I just remember thinking, I can't believe what is taking place. I'm so overwhelmed and so stunned. And that was when the king of the, and I call him a king because I don't know what else to call him, but he's a hierarchy. He is the hierarchy of the Fae. All the Fae. Every section, faction, every small and large section of Fae. He was the king of the Fae. And we were getting done in this team conversation, and he literally takes a step forward because he was, I guess, was off over here, and then he moved off over to my right. Instead of behind me, he moved off over here, and I caught a glimpse of him. Oh my gosh. And he put himself in his full form when he stepped right up against, well, not directly up against, but up against my chair, and put his hand on my shoulder, got my attention, and I remember looking up and I'm like, oh my. He was stunning. He was just drop dead stunning. And I will never forget the length of his fingers. So I'm short. I've got short feet, short fat feet, short fat hands, right? Obvious. Well, his fingers were like one finger. So from here to like they were here. The palm of his hand was at my back. His fingers wrapped around, and they came down to about here on me. And I was just blown away. And he told me, Nikki, We will give you all the help that you could ever need or want, but you have to stop saying the F word. I still have a hard time. I don't say it as often as I used to. It's taken me a lot of years because that was in 2019, 2020. It took a long time. I think it was in October or November of 2019. So yeah, I've got all kinds of stories about the hierarchies and different lifetimes and what I remember. And I think that that's why, even though I go through and experience the horrificness of being targeted by the government, specifically the U.S. government, and especially since I started talking about NASA being complicit, and knowing that the deep section of NASA knows. I don't think the regular section knows, but the deep section of NASA knows. They are completely complicit with SSP and the global governments. They know. And that's a hell of a claim for me to make, and a statement. And ever since I made it, wow, I've been targeted even harder, longer, stronger, lower frequencies. They're trying to cause my thyroid to have, my lips have been so dry. They're not anywhere near as bad because I've been hardcore packing them with organic hexane-free castor oil, liquid vitamin D3, and an A&D ointment made by, who the hell is the manufacturer of this stuff, because it has been really good. And of course I can't read the freaking name of the manufacturer. Oh, Bear. Really? Bear? Oh, this is an old bottle. Yeah. Manufacturers of Bear. B-A-Y-E-R. Yeah. Well, this is a 2019 one, but I've got a brand new one that looks just like it, only it's not a 1.5 ounce tube. It's like a really big tube. So I use all 3 of those, and I was doing it almost every 30 minutes. There for, I don't know, about 4 days straight. It was about every 30 minutes that I was awake. I mean, I was just constantly. And then I'd stop and it would be okay. My lips were as bright pink and red as that light, and different. I mean, they look like they were what sections they were. They were blistered, and right up in here, it burned my ears. The skin on my ears burned. They were basically, it was microwave technology, and they're frying me. So. And I was getting hit for a number of hours at a time, all because of talking. They want me to shut up. Well, guess what? I know who ordered and directed the targeting of me. I know the name of the person. If I say that name publicly, I'm up shit creek, hardcore, royally without a paddle. I will have legal consequences. I mean, they're already trying to murder me, cause me cancer, and cause all kinds of illnesses within this morbidly obese body. I get that. I get that you don't want me talking about this. I get that you have controlled YouTube now to where I no longer am allowed, once I started talking about the NASA stuff, and the mining on Uranus's moon, Desdemona, my YouTube account has been heavily sequestered. It's been everything about it has dropped. The amount of people seeing what I'm talking about. As soon as I can, I'm going to switch over to Rumble. I highly recommend you get a Rumble account, because when I can, I'm switching over to that. And what I will eventually do, I've talked about this, I think, once this week. I fully intend on going live on Rumble, and then decreasing, not decreasing, what's the word? Editing the video, and then posting the edited video onto YouTube, because deliberately being, there is no such thing as free speech on the internet. Zero. And yet at the same time, I've been consistently been told by others that Rumble will be a place that so far is allowing as much free speech as possible. Now we'll see when I get there. But yeah, get a Rumble account. I do have it listed under as Restore Belief with Nikki. It does have my face picture on it. It does have all the information on it. Well, at least for now. I haven't done anything with it. So when I'm able to do that, I will do that. I have two dear friends who are starting to work with me and teach me in a very slow way, because hello, we all have lives and we're trying different things. And so I do have somebody who is trying to help me get my information over to Spotify and go from there, because I really need to be making money. I do not have an income. And at this point in my life, I'm at a point to where I need to be making an income. And that's, I needed 2 years ago, but back injury, I was supposed to have my 40th birthday party in 2008, and supposed to go back to work right after it. And I had the back injury during my before my birthday party, but also at my birthday party, because I collapsed with significant back injuries. So could barely walk. So I fought really hard for this body to be able to walk. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, I've been asked so much, how have I gotten through? Because of my family and how they raised me. I was raised by a single mom, and family, great aunts and uncles who were part of my immediate family. I'm an only kid, and my family, my mom used to say it takes a village, and I used to balk at that. I used to bitch about that in the 1990s, and she was right. She was exactly right. It does take a village to raise a kid, and you don't have that. It's really tough. It makes life really, really tough, and I'm so thankful and so grateful. I'm gonna start falling again. No. I am so grateful and so very thankful to the family. My great aunts and uncles, my grandparents, yes, and even my grandmother, who she and I didn't get along, but got along great with my grandfather and my other set of grandparents, both of them. My grandfather remarried, and my step grandmother. She and I had issues, a lot of issues. I used to ask when I was little, why doesn't, and then I name her, why doesn't she like me? What did I do wrong? I used to ask my mom that all the time. She hates me. What did I do wrong? Um, and it wasn't until after my son was born that things changed for her and I. And it took a number of years for things to really change. And about, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember how old my son was to figure out how old. So, oh gosh. So, about 1997, 98, 99, she and I started actually making, not concessions, what the hell's the word? We started working on our relationship. And because we did that, I'm so grateful that we did that. We started talking little bits and pieces here and there. And I learned a lot more. A heck of a lot more. And then when I went through, my grandfather went through a horrific experience with her family. And he felt utterly and completely betrayed by them. And there's a lot of hurt and anger over that. There was a lot of hurt and anger over that. And Nikki kind of came in and came to the rescue of my grandfather, and I started doing research. And in that research, I found out exactly what kind of woman my step grandmother was. And I had a lot of respect for her. I learned so much. I had so much respect for her. But see, I was never, both sides of my family kept a lot of hidden secrets. And I mean a lot. So when I started asking questions when my son was little, people started opening up and started talking about some things, and I found there were things that I would just found out, and I was like, oh my God. Like, there were a number of things that were just mind bending to me. So, and the interesting thing is since I've remembered a lot of my past lifetimes, not all of them, but quite a lot of them, one of the things that I remember that I actually cry over because it means so much to me is that the family that I had in this lifetime, 3 lifetimes ago, we were dear friends and family. That means more to me than I can ever express. And my great uncles, oh my God, I remember who they were. They were very famous back then. They're in history books. I can't even begin to express how that makes me feel. Sorry. The bowling going again. Oh, that is a big deal. It was a really big deal, and it's going to come as a hell of a shock to their children and grandchildren, and I'm sure great-grandchildren by now. So, yeah, I mean, they're in history books. It's just, just wild to me to even say that. But that's what I remember. And when I remembered who my great uncles were and some of my great aunts, they came to me from the other side and they told me that was who they were. I lost it then too. It's been, so you go through how you get through these things, how you get through your memories, and even if they're awful memories, like the one that I described earlier this past week and the week before, how you get through these awful things. How were you raised? Think about how you were raised. Think about oh, that's an interesting. No, I'm not an astrologer. Oh, Paramar, thank you. Restore belief on Rumble. Thank you, Para. Oh my God, thank you. Brooke, that's not nice. To keep you safe. Yeah, Sharon. Yeah, Sharon Kennedy. Oh my God, are you the Sharon Kennedy from the 1990s? Do I know you from the 1990s? Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta blow the nose again. Sorry, guys. Okay, I want to be sure that I get every. Always sneaking out at night when you were really being taken by aliens. Well, there's stories to that one too. I think it talks about a bit. Okay, I've got to do the nose. It's. Hang on 1 second, folks. I'm sorry. Phew. Mercy to Murgatroyd. Mercy. Yeah, so you just you gotta be, in order to get through all this horrific crap. Oh, this is how I've gotten through. I've gotten through because I remember my family is on the other side. They come when I start crying, and I mean like bawling, crying, like really bawling, and I'm shaking and I'm rock. My mom now shows up. Before my mom died, my grandmother showed up. My grandfathers, one or both of them would show up. One of my great uncles would show up. My dad was always here because he was one of my spirit guides. Now I've got quite a team of spirit guides now, and that is way mind bending because I've gone from being no, I'm not gonna. Okay, I've gone from being what I was in 2019 with different spirit guides to sound to being, because I've elevated myself with the different things that I've gone through and remembered and done. I've elevated, and I don't know how else to explain that. I know other people can explain it beyond description and have these great descriptions of it. I've never been able to do that. I can describe what's taken place, but I don't have the memory of those words anymore. It's not in me, and that's because of the targeting. Because the targeting has been that bad. It's not stopping me from remembering, but it's literally taking my language, my words from me. It's literally taking. I had an eidetic memory for spelling. My spelling is becoming shit. That's not normal. But they are not taking my memories, which I find incredibly funny. Because that's exactly what they've wanted to do. So it's just, they're trying to unalive me in various different ways. And I'm sure if I drove, because I don't, but I'm sure if I did, they'd probably try to do Oh, I was going to call it a boot scoot and boogie. That's not what I meant. Good grief. Try to do an unaliving by a vehicle. That's why if I ever have the opportunity to have somebody, have a driver, be able to pay for a driver, they better know how to do all kinds of extreme forms of driving, because I don't trust government to nothing. There's no way in hell. And I want to be protected, period. Because there's a lot that's going to happen on this planet. Major things are going to start taking place this year, next year, and the next following years, all the way up to 2033. Well, 2036 really, but really up to 2033. And it's going to start getting wild. And government not gonna like it. Tough shit. It's about time things come out of hiding. You take a look at what's going on with what's coming out of hiding now. Excellent question. Master Pilot says, you think the moon mission has put us in danger? ? In some ways, because of their false narrative. Oh, hang on, about to burp. Whoop. Very good question. Very possible. Their global government narratives, global governments, plural. Yeah, that's very possible. Just an FYI, I didn't think I was being taken by SSP anymore. I got taken this week. I woke up with a different shirt on, but it had this kind of V shape in front. And I woke up a number of days ago, went to get up, go to the bathroom, and I'm like, because my shirt kept doing this kind of thing. It kept catching at my throat, not normal, and I was getting really annoyed. And I was constantly pulling it down like that. And I was out of it. I'd just woken up, did the bathroom routine, standing at the sink, and I'm washing the hands. And I'm like, okay, why is this feel so weird? And I didn't think anything of it. Walked out into the kitchen, got something to drink, something to eat, walked into the living room, and it's hiking back up to my throat. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I walk into the bathroom because I went to clean something off of a table and I got something sticky on my hands, and I went into the bathroom to wash my hands, throw away the rag that I was cleaning up with, and disposable rag, and went into the bathroom to wash my hand. And I had tried to see the collar to see if it was inside out. And the company that makes these kind of shirts, because hello, I'm considered what's called a super-sized BBW. So an SSBBW is what I'm classified as. And so the clothing manufacturer, for those of us who are like that, puts their printed tags. They are not attached like most clothing manufacturers. So it's printed onto the fabric, the label. And so I was trying to flip it over, and I couldn't. The lighting was absolute crap. And I was I couldn't tell. And I thought, well, that's just weird. So when I walked into the bathroom, washed my hands, dried my hands, and I went, oh, because it's at my throat again, just in the movement of washing my hands. And I went, I got decent lighting in here. Let's take a look. And sure enough, I I pull it forward, and I'm like, son of a bitch. My clothing was on backwards. And I looked at my skirt because I was in a skirt, and my skirt was on backwards. Now, that I didn't talk about. I have talked about publicly that my shirt was on backwards, but I have not talked publicly about my skirt. And it had a rip in it, which pissed me off even more. So here I had been, and then and that has only ever happened when I was little, like under the age of 11, 12, little. Between the ages of 5 and 11 to 12. Those are the only times my clothing was ever put on backwards, and it was put on backwards by the ETs that I call the bad ETs. Quote unquote, the bad ETs. That's what I used to call them. Never understood why. Well, they're the ones that abduct for SSP. That's why I called them, and I figured that out years later. Figured that out in 2021. Really pissed me off. God, this really pissed me off over this week. And so I started looking for marks on me, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't sleeping right. And it made no logical sense, because when I sleep, I do not move. I'm not a leg kicker. I'm not the only things that move might be my elbow or my wrists. I'll move them into different positions along the side of my body, and that's because I've had to train my body that way because of the back injury that I had in 2008, and it's kind of always stuck with me that way. Because hello, if you move, you have pain. Well, I'm not quite like that anymore, but my body's just been that way, and it's been trained that way because hello. And so, and when I woke up, the other thing that I noticed was that the metal sheeting that I use on me was no longer on me, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Matter of fact, I'm looking at my bed right now, and I'm like, it took me a long time to frickin' find it. And this is something that doesn't come off easily because it's literally between two blankets. So it's wedged between two blankets. And sometimes I'll use multiple layers of metal sheeting. So if you're being targeted by frequency weapons, just an FYI, metal sheeting works until they start using certain kinds of levels of frequencies of microwave technology. Different ballgame. So I have metal sheeting over my head and metal sheeting over my body. Hello, big body, large piece of metal sheeting. I know people that are targeted that use like thick pieces of actual metal. They sleep underneath it. They sleep underneath box of metal, and so Master Pilot Ultra Frequency. I don't know if it's ultra. I just know that they changed the frequency level sometime in February. And it took me a couple of weeks before I registered what it was that I was feeling, because I could feel it, but I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was. And then when I started meditating, I went, bingo, and then I got it. I went, okay, now I got it. Now I understand. So I just got a notification. And it's a notification from the other side. Sorry, I'm like trying to sense what the hell is around me right now. I got my babies watching out for me, so I appreciate that very, very much. If I could give them a gigantic freaking hug, I would. So the other side, I've been loaned. I call them babies. I call them my babies. But they're not mine. They belong to a hierarchy. So I've got beings on loan, keeping an eye over me, which I'm very, very appreciative and thankful for. I for Alta Atla. I can't. Oh, hey, Marlena, how you doing? Good morning, Nikki. Hello. Good morning. Yeah, considering it is little after 1, or about 10 after 1 or thereabouts. Yeah, hi. Big, beautiful woman, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. Well, this is wild. Thanks for sharing. Tell more. Oh, this is where I say hit the like button, hit subscribe, because this is my 4th year running, 4th year on YouTube, and I go live once a week. I try to do 11 p.m. Pacific time, but there are things that happen medically sometimes, or things that happen technology-wise. So I try to be on, and I also try to be sure that I give enough notice. And I don't do regular lives like I used to, where they're scheduled. But now that I'm being targeted by YouTube, that's a different ballgame. They've tightened their thing down on me, so it doesn't show up. I used to have anywhere from 35 to 95 show up, and now it's 25 and under again. So yeah, targeted. I made sure I could get you live. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you're here, Marlena. I guess I said your name. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, okay, so here's something. So Sharon Kennedy is saying maybe she thought you were, oh, I already said this, I know I did, but there's a point I'm going to be making. Maybe she thought you were always sneaking out at night when you were really being taken by aliens. Okay, so regarding that, itchy eyes again. I need to get my B6 in. That's why my eyes are bugging me. Hello. Okay, I forgot to take my B6 today and yesterday. Oh, crap. No better. Anyway, so liquid B6 is what I'm referring to. Anyway, regarding that, one of the things that I remembered this week that I didn't remember before, and it was because of the clothing issue, being on backwards. I was always saying I have no memory of my clothes being on backwards. Well, because of this lovely little frickin' incident, I started having flashback memories and memories that I had before, but this time, not additions, but longer sections of memories, or how do you say this? A furthering of the memory of what happened during certain nights that I was abducted and returned as a child. And when I was ET abducted as a child and returned, and in the 1970s when I was growing up, they typically had your clothes on backwards or inside out and backwards. Or you were in somebody else's clothes. It was that bad. And thankfully I don't have any of those memories. But I remember a similar night when I was running back home. I typically, when I was a kid, I wore pajamas that was a nightgown. And my nightgown either went to my knees or it went to my ankles. And the one memory that I had of me running back home from 2 blocks away, being dropped back off after an ET abduction, running back home, running up the alley. We were the second house in the third house. Now, hang on. No, technically it would have been the third house. I've never counted that one on the corner, and I don't know why. Because there's no back alley entrance to that house, which I always thought was weird. But anyway, because there's bushes there. And the second house was this old lady who we used to call her the old biddy. Oh my God. Nobody liked her. And on the other side of us was this wonderful, incredible blessing to have this senior couple living next door to us. They loved my mom and I, and we loved them. They were just absolutely, truly wonderful to Mom and I. Matter of fact, the man, he made a footstool for my mom that's in storage now, but we still have it. I still have it to this day. And it's this sweet little, it's a whole other subject. It's so cute. It's just very much reminds me of my mom and my grandmother, my mom's mom. Very Queen Anne style-esque was this little footstool that he made for my mom. Anyway, and I love Queen Anne style because, hello, my mom's mom, my grandmother. And I've got a number of pieces of Queen Anne furniture that belonged to my grandmother, then my mom, and now me. All in storage, of course. Because I have nowhere to put it here. But things that I deeply treasure. And I'm babbling. I know I'm babbling. But the ET stuff. So I would come back running from 2 blocks away, barefoot. Late spring or late summer. I can't remember which right now. I remember it being cool but not ice cold at night. I remember there were no fall leaves or anything like that. And when I was running up the alleyway barefoot, because you hear the stomp of my feet as the feet were like, making that type of sound running up because it was a hill. You had a hill to run up. And then it leveled off at the second house. And then my house was the third house. And this was in Seattle. I don't need to say where. But anyway, and I used to I would come through the back gate. It's a little white picket fence with a great big apricot tree on the little hill mound. And you ran down the stairs, and my mom was growing corn at the time. And the corn hadn't come to full, it was almost ready. It was almost ripe. And I remember being so starved and so hungry that I just started ripping off corn cobs, and just eating it raw, and just like that old-fashioned cartoon. It's not, I can't remember who did it right now. The Bugs Bunny and all of that. Well, with the corn. Well, that's what it was like with me. And I think I went through 3 or 4 ears of corn, dug down, buried them so my mother wouldn't find them. And for whatever reason, the back door was unlocked. Unheard of for my mom and I, because my mom and I were stalked. We had stalkers. Both my dad was stalking us and my stepdad was stalking us. And we would find footprints around our windows. So why or how the back door was even unlocked, I don't have any memory of that. I remember running in barefoot, and because I was in the garden, I tracked dirt. I remember having to clean that up. See, I didn't remember that before. And then the next memory, I don't have memory of getting in bed, but another memory I have, I'm in the ankle length, the yellow and pink Holly Hobby nightgown. And I remember going in to wash my hands in the brightly lit yellow bathroom. To this day, that's not because of that bathroom. I can't stand the color yellow simply because of, unless it's in a pastel, because of the trauma I went through as a childhood survivor of sexual assault at 7 and 8 years old by a pedophilic 16, no, 16 or 17 years old. It was a daycare provider's son. Anyway, who's now on the other side as of last year. Came to ask for forgiveness, and the little kid went, did a happy dance. I was like, where the hell did that come from? Because I thought I worked through that. The adult in me had forgiven. And how do you forgive? But you have to forgive in order to move forward. The little kid in me hadn't. When I found out right then and there, the little kid in me was like, no way in hell, I don't want any. I was like, wow, it just kind of blew me out of the water. Anyway, so I'm in the bathroom washing my hands, and I remember looking down because the Holly Hobby stuff had like you either had little button-up stuff and a little fringe on the front, or a little fringe around the collar and around the elastic on the wrists. And okay. Thank you, Marilena. I really appreciate that. Marilena says, unless you have not experienced what Nikki has, you won't understand what she's attempting to explain. Thank you. Thank you. Most appreciated. And I don't know what was hidden. I'm not looking at it. So, but thank you, Paramar. But here we've got this situation. I'm realizing my wrists don't look right. Not the wrist, but the elastic band. The elastic band should have had a thing at the wrist, at a seam at the wrist, and it didn't. And it was solid, and I lost my... Okay, if you're going to... That is spamming. You are out of here permanently. I will not put up with that. Sharon, well, good night, Nikki. I have to go to bed. The Easter Bunny is coming tomorrow morning. Yes. Happy Easter, dear. And thank you, Amy. So I realized something wasn't right. And I remember realizing not only that, but the actual physical tag back then, it was at my throat. And I went, it's backwards. Why is it backwards? And I remember taking my arms out, sliding my arms out, flipping it around, putting it on correctly, putting my arms back in. And that was when I remember looking down at my feet. And my feet were filthy. The tops of my feet, between my toes. This is not normal because I had just had a bath the night before. And everything starts hitting me because I wasn't registering that I had just come in. It wasn't, I was in, you're a child, you're in automatic mode to get home. And it's like you're running for your life. I've had multiple, and I didn't remember that until it's wild to me how these memories are coming up. It's wild to me to what triggers me. I had a what I thought was just an ordinary. I was watching a video, ordinary everyday stuff, and blew me out of the water. I unexpectedly, something was said or done in the video. I don't remember what. I just remember it triggered the ever loving crap out of me, and I'm like, I remember starting to rock. I was in the recliner. I started to rock. I went, I gotta breathe. I gotta breathe. This isn't as bad as when I was going through. God, sorry, itchy spot on my neck or my shoulder. I have an allergy blister show up. I haven't eaten anything that I'm allergic to. What the hell? Sorry. When I get allergy blisters, they're teeny tiny under the skin and they're trying to come to the surface, and only unless you put any kind of pressure will you feel them. I didn't even know. Which means the rest of my body is going to start. I'll have them on my scalp. I'll have them on my arms. Oh, God. Lovely. Which means I need to take an antihistamine again. No idea why I'm having this allergic reaction. Well, that's a bizarre thing. Anyway, and it's not from the Mullen because I'm not allergic to that. Anyway, so I'm having more and more of these memories, and the only memory that I knew that I remembered my entire life was that I was running and trying to escape away from my mom's, not trying to escape from my mom's friend, but trying to escape the ETs and get back to where my mom had put me for babysitting. And so I was trying to run. I used to say, "Oh, it was only 2 blocks," and I've looked at it. It's like a total of 5, and they're long, major freaking blocks. They're not like the regular city blocks. There's certain sections of Seattle where you have regular. Okay, you have regular city blocks, and then other sections where you don't, and the block is almost double in length of a regular city block, and these were those. But there are 5 blocks and across a major arterial, and thank God it was at night, to get back to my mom's friend's apartment building. Brick, very skinny brick apartment building. And she lived on the 2nd floor. And I ran back. So this is a memory I've always had. I always thought it was a dream. No, it wasn't a dream. The ET ship it dropped me off and then in the wrong freaking location and then ended up flying right above and over her apartment building. Bastards were waiting for me. And my mom's friend was an alcoholic, and she was her jam was wine, and a lot of wine. And so she thought I had gone to sleep on the couch, and she essentially drank herself into oblivion and passed out on the other end of the couch. And so by the time I got back from the ET abduction and got back into her apartment, which I don't even know how I just remember running to the apartment, running to the outside stairs, getting up to the door. I don't remember how the door opened. I don't remember it opening because it had a square metal patch where it had a handle underneath and a handle on top. And I remember trying to pull the, it's like this. And I remember trying to pull the door open, and it's one of those that automatically locks. It's an emergency escape door. And once it closes, it locks. And I remember yanking on it. I don't remember how the hell I got back into her apartment. I have zero memory of that. But I've always had this memory of running, of all of a sudden being on the ground down by where my great aunt and great uncle lived, and running from that corner, or not, well, it wasn't the exact corner, but it was like kind of close up by the house, which would have been, I don't know, maybe 30 feet from the corner, and running from there the 5 blocks across a major intersection, four lane intersection. And thank God it was the middle of the night. Nobody was coming. And nobody's coming. I ran straight. I mean, I kept booking it, man, because I was terrified. And I was terrified it was being followed. Sure shit, here comes the ship right over her apartment building. And that's where I was. And I went running up, and I don't know how the door opened. I just know that I woke up on her floor, not on her couch. And I don't remember being in pajamas. I don't remember what kind of clothing I was in. But I remember being barefoot again, and my feet were filthy. Again, I remember that, and I remember how weird it felt because I was climbing the wood stairs, and I remember getting some kind of splinter, but I was so focused on getting inside and getting away, and my God, they're not going to take me again. They won't take me again. They won't take me again because they've already taken me. They've already dropped me off. They're not going to take me again. They're not going to take me again. This is what was running through my head. And yeah, Marlena, that's exactly what I think, but I don't know how well that 1212 or 212 on the numbers. Sorry, I don't know how well that will go off. Oh, Amy, I've got a story to tell about that. So Amy says, fun fact, 87% of parents play the Easter Bunny narrative to their kids. Yes, I did that with my grandparents. My son was real little, and we created little pink paw pads, as if they're bunny pads, really long, and then you got the toe pads of the toe beans of the underneath of the foot, and we had little Easter basket, and we knocked and ran. Oh, my son was about, I think, 5 years old at the time. I'd forgotten about that until you mentioned this. And it was something very, very special for our family, between our family and my grandparents. And they got their own both of them got their own little Easter baskets. They had all kinds of, and this was after my grandfather had bladder cancer, which they went, and my mom called it, well, they turned into health nuts. And I'm like, oh my God, Mom, they're trying to live, they're trying to survive, and they're doing all the research back then and doing all the readings and everything, and so my grandfather was absolutely crystal clear. He had to have exactly 13 almonds every morning, and he had to have 1 boiled egg, and he had to have half of a grapefruit, and absolutely no sugar anywhere. And I mean, and his coffee, and that was his breakfast. And I mean, they were looking at all the different cancer sorts of stuff. So it was interesting. But volume. Wow, something just screwed with my volume. Big time. It literally shut me off. Wow. Okay, somebody please tell me that you can still see me and hear me. Please. Put in chat, type in chat. Still see, still hear. Oh, it's all normal now. Okay, thank you. Oh my God, that was weird. Literally, Google just tried to control my phone, just tried to control my microphone, and just tried to control the volume. What the F? Wow. Well, apparently something I said wasn't liked. And nothing should have caused that. Absolutely nothing should have caused that. Well, isn't that interesting? Somebody's trying to screw with me tonight. Nothing new there. Anyway, okay, just happened again. Just happened again. Tried to screw with the sound and the volume and the microphone. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who's telling me you can hear me. So that's actually, I didn't want to go beyond 2.5 hours tonight. So that's, I really do not want to go beyond 2 hours and 30 minutes. So I've got about 14 minutes left. Ask me questions. Hopefully we can get answers. And then we'll finish up. And then I will wish everybody who celebrates a happy Easter, and those who don't, I hope you have a good weekend. Because I know everybody believes differently, and I don't want to disrespect people who believe differently, and I don't want to be disrespected for how I believe. So, you know, it is what it is. And I get that. So being an ET abductee, there is so much that goes along with it. Being part of the SSP, Secret Space Program, there's a lot with it. There's a lot to all of it, and there are so many. I would love to see some kind of, I'm just going to be blunt, I'd love to see some kind of realistic movie created based on real life extraterrestrial abductees who experience it, and maybe put it into one gigantic movie. I think that would be awesome. Oh, Paranormal. Okay. Regarding SSP, do you think any of those people actually volunteered? Yes, I know some people who did. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, how do I say this? There are people that I know who were military at the time, who were offered exciting situations, and you basically sign your life away. And yeah, they went into that, and they are listed not as SSP, but as something completely different. Usually they go up in rank, not always, but usually. So yes, I do know people that have gone in willingly, not truly knowing what it was until they were very heavily into it. So yeah, there are people, there are teenagers that I've heard of, that I have been told of, that they were offered to go in, and they jumped on it. I've heard about scientists being offered the job, not knowing what it entailed, but it was going to be an adventure. So yeah, in answer to your question, yeah, some people do volunteer for it. or go in unwittingly not knowing what it is. Okay, hang on. Other question from Marilena. Have you been experiencing the changes occurring with your body and mind? Yes. Yeah, you're welcome, Para. Have you been experiencing the changes occurring with your body and mind? What kind of changes do you mean, Marilena? Are you talking, oh, Hairstyle Hub. Hello, how you doing? Oh, wow, I didn't know that, Amy. I'll read that in a minute. Wow, out loud in a minute. But yeah, there are people who, the energy that's occurring, being able to see more than normal. Oh, yes. Yeah, I am. Yeah, there's a lot of people who go in unwittingly not knowing what the hell SSP really is. And a vast majority is detrimental, and some very small sections are not. I can't discount that. I just can't. Oh, credit where credit is due. That's important to me. Holy crap. Okay. Oh, God, I don't know where the hell I wrote that. There is a situation I was made aware of. And I wanted to make a statement. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So if things... Ouch, 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 ouch. Okay, that was my shoulder. Okay, I've got a statement to make. Here we go. Okay, so I give credit where credit is due, whether I like the people or not. Okay? So, no one is going to claim credit for me and things that I do. Period. Okay, so as much as I don't like saying the one person who stated my journey was because of them, I met someone in a bariatric facility 1 week during a group meeting. And that, as much as I don't like saying it, that person was Michael W. Hall. Because I take issues with Michael. I will give credit where credit is due. Whether or not I like the person or not. So, it was because of Michael W. Hall that I was invited to join his group, the UFOI team, about UFOs, ETs, and the paranormal, which I became a member of that team. He was a major promoter and fame seeker, in my opinion, of that group, and I understand why. I understand where he was going and his ideas about it. Had a couple of discussions with him about it. But I'm giving credit where credit is due. And it's because of Michael W. Hall, because of meeting him in a bariatric support group. And he invited anybody and everybody, and I do mean it that way, anybody and everybody into the UFOI team to come and listen, to come and be part of the group if they had experiences. I had experiences, and I believed in Sasquatch. I was coming out as a psychic medium publicly. real publicly, in fact. And his eyes, I'll never forget it, his eyes lit up. And when we both exited that building that night, I was waiting on a ride, and my ride had shown up, and the look on his face when he and I were leaving, I mean, he was like giddy as a school kid. And I was like, wow, okay. And I think it was about a week or slightly less than a week where I think that meeting was done on a Thursday, and it was a Monday night meeting at Denny's. And so it was less than a week, just a few days. And there we go. Not that Michael Hall, Joe Monk. Michael Hall is the guy that played Dexter. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, Marlena. Oh, okay. I haven't watched Dexter, heard about it often. Yeah, I haven't seen that in years. I'll have to go look it up on Tubi. Tubi, if I remember right. So that's where the credit goes to. That is who essentially headhunted me, however you want to word that. But yeah, that's where the credit goes. And I honestly had good opinions and good feeling, and then after meeting him and meeting the folks on the team, which I very much enjoyed, and very much enjoyed the team, and was just absolutely astounded and amazed by the people I met, by the conversations I had, by the conversations they had. It was really a mind bender and really wild to me. And Miss Stephanie, who is now on the other side, came to remind me right after, not very long after she passed. She was a UFOI team member. And she reminded me of the book by R.D. Six Killer Clark. I don't remember the name of the book right now, but and I know Paramarv has put it in the chat a long time ago, and I don't mean today. It's like many months ago, or even last year. But R.D. A-R-D-Y, Six Killer Clark. It's all one name. She's Native American. And she used to interview, I don't know if she still does, she used to interview people from Brazil and a lot of other countries who were dealing with ET abductions. I highly recommend her books. She's a wonderful writer. It's an easy read. Her books are easy reads for a reason. So Miss Stephanie reminded me, I have a lot of respect for Stephanie. She came to talk to me and remind me, you need to be reading that book, Nikki. I'm like, oh man. She goes, no, pull it out. You need to read it. And sure as shit, I get through, I think, up to the third or fourth chapter, halfway through the third, and I was having flashbacks because of the different ETs that she talked about. Amy, Dexter is a cartoon character on a TV show from, I believe, the 1990s into the early 2000s. Folks may correct me on that, but there's that information. Anyway, so, yeah, Michael W. Hall is the one who is, to me, credited for me talking about my stuff, but at the same time, everybody on the UFOI team is really credited because they're all the ones that were like, you need to be right. I've been told for years that I should be writing a book. Oh, thank you, Paramarv. So Paramarv put in the author, Artie Six Killer Clark, author page on Amazon. So he put in a link for that. Oh, Joe, are you serious? No, Dexter is a serial unaliver that works for the Maya. Oh, that's not what okay, that's different. Dexter's Lab, yes, Dexter's, not to be confused with cartoon Dexter's Lab. Thank you. See, I couldn't remember the full, okay, thank you. Oh, God, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that clarification. Paramarv says, the book's title is called Sky People, Untold Stories of Alien Encounters in Mesoamerica. Yes, that's the one I was reading. And you can't see it because Facebook removed it. Shit. So Facebook is no longer keeping videos where you go live. They no longer keep them past 30 days. So all of our live broadcasts that we did that had been saved to Facebook Lives, none of them are there anymore. The only ones that are up are the ones that were recorded on somebody's device and then uploaded. Those are still being saved, but the live ones, no, they're not. So what is this live about? Hello, Coast or Cost? Cost of Freedom 616. Boy, I'm seeing that number a lot lately, 616. ET abductees, secret space programs, NASA, global governments. And we're not talking political. This is all regarding government global narratives to the masses and about dealing with extraterrestrials and bases, military bases on different planets. So that's the topic of discussion, and we're almost done. So thank you, Para. Thank you, all my mods. Oh my God. Joe Monk, Paramar, Amy Collins, Andrew Gnomes Trucking, Battle Liner, which is Robert. I did not see Lil Cam, but he's also one of my mods. So, Cost of Freedom says, I definitely believe global government. I don't really believe in aliens. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I believe, but I don't think they like us. No, there's some do, some don't. But yeah, extraterrestrials are very real. They're not demons. They're not fallen angels, and they're a completely separate being. And global governments have a lot to do with them. A lot, which is why they keep a lot of things hidden and secret. I haven't watched TV in Amy says, forgive me, I haven't watched TV in 30 years and probably haven't seen 98% of the movies released since then either. Joe says, cuts down. Who are you referring that to? She's never had any experiences like that. Being a smartass. Joe. Got it though, but no, that's not her situation by any stretch of the imagination. Anyway, just trying to live life like all of us. Trying to be, trying to live life and get through it and preferably get to a better life situation like many of us are trying to do. So anyway, please hit the follow button, subscribe. button, put your choices in for all instead of personal, because we have been finding out that YouTube isn't notifying certain people, and so I've been getting emails from certain people saying, hey, I'm not receiving when you're going live again. I'm not even getting the notifications. So the only thing, what I've had to do is I've had to go through, and I've got on my Angels Are Life account for YouTube, which is my personal one, which is fine. I've got 34 subscribers. I mean, it's my YouTube channel for watching videos and learning about different crochet and different, so it's things like that. It's not a big deal. But if you like music and music videos, I've got a plethora of file folders with, and YouTube is only showing not even half of the file folders I've got. So that is mind-boggling to me. So anyway, oh, I'm glad you. Thank you. That's the first I've heard of that. So Paramarv just said, fortunately, I did see a notification from YouTube tonight, so I jumped on. So, ouch, 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 ouch. That's, I'm really glad to hear that, because I've gotten notifications. Sending Nikki a peaceful day and calm energy. Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you, Marilena. Yeah. So I'm very appreciative of the folks that do message me saying, hey, I'm not getting, oh, she is not. Joe, you and I are going to have a chat afterwards. You behave yourself. Quit giving her shit. I will defend my friends, even if it's the two go at each other. No. Anyway, on that note, I hope you guys have a very good rest of your weekend. Stay safe as you can. Stay protected as safe as you can. Whatever that means for you and your situation. For those who believe in God, who believe in Jesus, I wish you a beautiful, happy Easter Sunday. And for others who believe it this way, happy Resurrection Day. Please take care of yourself. I hope you have a great time with family and with kids who do Easter egg hunts and things like that. The little bunny hop, 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 all of that. But of course, to me, that's not what this is about. But anyway, I know you don't have to, but could you please? I'm making a request tonight. Anyway, but that's all right. I love my friends. I really do. Every single one of them, whether they're stinkers or not, male or female. I've got a lot of. I've got friends, both male and female, and sometimes it's hard for some friends to hear that. Oh, I love that person, but I mean it in a friendship way, and or they're very dear to me, and some people have a hard time with that, and I'm like, why? Loving. What? They just did it again. I just had it happen again. I don't know why. Anyway, happy Easter, everybody. I hope you do well and take very good care. Blessings to all, I hope. And thank you for my mods. I do appreciate that immensely. And if you're an ET abductee, journal notes. And next Wednesday, so the S4 Paranormal Bunker is on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Pacific time. We are on YouTube. There is a link in the description box below. I am Restore Belief with Nikki is on Saturdays at 11 p.m. Pacific. Keep checking back. Like today, had a couple of weird situations happen, and so I was late today. And so, but just keep checking back. and I will be there. And next week, hopefully, I'll be much more prepared and won't have any near pass out situations and things like that. So, or tech issues to make me late. I hate being late. Anyway, take very good care, all. Hugs and love. I do mean that. I'm very genuine when I mean that. Anyway, take good care. Bye, folks. And thank you again to my mods. Mwah. Hugs and hugs and hugs. Kisses on the cheek. No joke. You guys mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Okay, gotta find that button again. Bye.